Ready, set, go. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to try to use we're going to use a gradient or create a gradient of color. And we're going to do that by using a for loop to kind of adjust the color as we go through. Now, if you've done some of the other exercises before, you probably already know how to kind of construct a for loop. But let's go ahead right now and make one that's going to essentially fill in this whole blue area here. We want this blue area to be a gradient of color. And I don't want it to be just all blue because that's kind of boring. It's going to look too much like a kindergartner is kind of making this. Let's go and do something like this. So I'm going to say for, and we're going to say put in a variable here, for var, and we'll say the variable name is going to be I. We're going to say 0. And we're going to start at 0 and kind of have it fade down. And then we'll say, let's make it be less than our 200, because 200 will bring us right down to that line. Semicolon. Note that these are semicolons that are separating each of these. And then we will do I plus equals, let's do 5. So by doing that, now we have this kind of for loop that's going to make, step through from 0 to 200. Remember, 0 to 200, and it's going to do that in increments of 5. So that's all I've done here. I've said I want it to be a variable that starts at 0. It's going to go as long as I is less than 200, but it's going to do it by 5. So it's going to be 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on until it gets to be 190. It actually won't do 200. So if we wanted to include that, we could. We could actually just do that by putting less than or equal to option to it. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead in here and we're going to create our, make a stroke. And we're going to make a stroke weight. And what this is going to do is this is going to make a thickness to a line. So as we draw lines here to kind of make our gradient, this will make it so that it can show up. If I take that one out in a moment, you'll see exactly what it does. But I want to make lines now that are going to start from this left-hand side and draw all the way across the full width. And I want to make sure that it goes, these lines are even and kind of come down the screen as we go. So my goal here is to make lines that just start at the top and move down. So I'm going to start at 0, and I want them start at 0, comma I, because that'll be that top left corner there. 0, comma I, because the first time through the for loop, it's going to be 0. And then I want to have it be, I want the y values to be the same all the way down. So then I want it to be the full width, comma, I. If I do that without doing anything else, and I go ahead and I run this one, it should give me nothing. The reason I'm getting nothing right now as it runs is 2 reasons. One is because I have a no stroke command here. That's essentially like commenting out my line as we go. But we also need to give this a color. So let me give this stroke a color. And to give the color to the stroke, it's just using the stroke command to do that. I'm going to go ahead and say 255, comma, 0, comma, 0. Should give me just a bright red so we know everything is working the way I think it should. There we go. So now I've got this red that's kind of filling that whole thing, and it looks like we're on Mars or someplace like that. But we don't want that. What we really want to have here is we want to have that color kind of transition over time. So let's do this. Let's have that value maybe be I. So by I, that means at the top it's going to be 0, and when it gets down further to the bottom, it's going to be that red. It's going to continue until it gets to 200 for it. Maybe I don't quite want it to be so dark red. So maybe if I adjust this a little bit and give this a little bit of color too. Is that going to give me the color set I want? I don't think it is. Oh, it's definitely giving me RGB. I don't want the red, right? So let me think. If I were to try to pick a color that's going to get it closer to what I want, I think what I need to do is I need to adjust and maybe even like count and change my color over a different time. So let me do this. I'm going to say, let's start with it being kind of one color and then transition. So let's do this. And this is one of the areas where you can start playing around and experimenting with. And it's really a lot of fun. You just, by changing the values and kind of, you know, mixing them up and experimenting, you're going to find all kinds of really interesting ways to do this. Once you share those into the discussion group, everybody's going to like me. Oh, I need to find out how they did that, and then everybody's going to start learning how to adapt them better themselves. Here in this case, I'm going to take this and I'm going to, instead of using this one, I'm going to start with like 255 and maybe minus I on this one. Let me see, will that get me a little bit closer to what I want? It's not, I think I'm picking the wrong color here. I kind of want it to be a little bit more, maybe it's this one I want. Ah, that's definitely more in the line of what I would expect maybe a sunset to kind of be. So it has kind of a dark bluish sky at the top and kind of transitions from there. So if I wanted to, I could kind of play with this and go through it all again and again and again. But this one's going to give me that for loop transition. So I would probably look for it to be like a really good kind of yellowy color at the top, and then maybe have a transition to be more red at the bottom. Let me see, can I do it like this? What is that going to give me? It's probably going to give me this kind of purple transition. So experiment with the different colors you have for it. Maybe you don't want it to be a full red. Maybe you don't want it to be a sunset-y color at all. Maybe you want it to be a blue, transitioning from this to white or something. Remember, there are no real mistakes here. You're just kind of going to experiment, and you always have the option to kind of undo. I'm hitting Control or if not Control Z, then here we go. It's actually not showing you all of the undos here, but you can undo by either Control or Command Z, or Control Shift Z will let you get there too. So I think right now I'm going to stick with this one, and then I might actually do a transition for the ground too. I might want that to be kind of not so flat and plainer, make it be so it goes from a bright color to a darker color. Remember, in art, like things that are further away are often darker or hazier or something like that. So you want to kind of give a sense of depth to this, and you want to lay out the composition of this. So this is just one for that for loop. So come back next, and we'll actually add a couple more elements to it.